So for this Module 9, I decided to do a screen-tastic on my Nearpod slides that we had done in a couple modules ago. So I'm just going to present this as if I was doing this in a classroom setting. So to begin with, I would put this up on my screen for my students and have them log into their devices using this pen. Once I see that everybody is logged in, I will start the presentation. So what I did my presentation on was second grade mathematics and measuring in data, and the core standard code I used was to MD8, which was solving words involving dollar bills, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies, also using dollar bill signs and cent symbols correctly. So first off, I would ask my students which one of these has the least amount of value from a $1 bill, a nickel, quarter, a penny, or they have the option to hit no answer, which I would highly suggest them not to do. And of course, we would select that a penny has the least value. And then once all of their answers were in, a bar graph would create here, and we would see what the class's opinion was on the least amount of value of dollars. This is a pre-assessment before I even go over any content to just see what they know from previous experiences. Then I go on and I'm going to start the content. So first off, we're going to say, what is money? Well, money is something such as a coin or dollar bill or any kind of bill, which is used as a way to pay for goods and services and is used to pay people for their work. Now, I'd have this on their screen, but also I would have some examples in class that we could work with or models that they could see and feel and touch. This is a penny, and a penny is worth 1 cent, or when you write it, 1 cent symbol. This is a nickel. A nickel is worth 5 cents, or when writing, it is 5 and a cent sign. This is a dime. A dime is worth 10 cents, or when writing it out, 10 with a cent symbol. This is a quarter. A quarter is worth 25 cents, or when writing it out, 25 with a cent symbol. Lastly, this is a dollar bill. A dollar is worth 100 cents, the cent symbol, or $1 with a dollar bill sign in front of it. So now that we went through and I would have discussed the content a little more in depth with my students, we will take a after assessment so I can see what their opinion is. So on their view of the screen, they'll have options A, B, C, or D with the correct answer for penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and a dollar bill in order. It isn't showing up on my screen for some reason. Then we go on to a visual of how much they are after we see whether the students knew that content or not. And depending on their answers, we may spend a little more time going over how much each money is worth and tips to memorize that and how to apply it in everyday life. So I also give a slide here to discuss to my students about making change. So I start off with $1 is equal to 4 quarters, or 10 dimes, 20 nickels, or 100 pennies. And we go with a quarter, a nickel, and a dime. I would spend some time in class going over this, giving some visuals, and having some group work for the students to do to kind of see this on their own instead of just up on a screen. We would have some time that we would make scenarios and act like we were at the store. And then I go on and I have students draw the value of a dollar bill in cents, in quarters, and then they can pick a different kind of variation that they choose. So they may draw 100 pennies or close to it. Whatever the first thing that comes to their mind, it gives them a chance to be creative and see what they want to do. And then everybody can see the different colors and shapes they used for their coins. So then we discuss the order of the size of the money. And I discuss how even though a dollar is worth more and it's biggest, a dime is the smallest, but it's worth more than a penny or a nickel. And then we go more into depth into that. So then we'll go into a set of word problems. And we work these out we'll work the first one out together and the second one we do on our own. So Julie had 2 dimes, 3 quarters, a nickel, and a dollar. How much money did she have? Then we get the answer. And then we discuss how we get that answer. She had $2 because you add all these values together and you get the sum of her money. So then I have the students do the next problem on their own and we discuss how we got the answer and whether their answers were correct or incorrect. So then we have another word problem here that they get to use their imagination and draw. And they'll draw how much Jackson has if he had $1.50 and he spent $1.15 on a bag of chips. They would draw out how much he had left out of the $1.50 after spending $1.15 on a bag of chips. And then that's the last problem I have on my Nearpod. And that was just an overview of kind of how I would do this lesson in my classroom. And how I would just take this Screenmastic and I would record what we were doing so I could send that out to our students on our webpage so they could access that later on after class or even before if they wanted to look and work on their problems more at home and show their parents and just get better in their math, word problems, and money skills. Thank you.